Now, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. As we go back almost 10 years, it was a remarkable conversation in the studios of Democracy Now! We broadcast at the time out of the garret, the attic of a firehouse just blocks from Ground Zero, where we were broadcasting the day the attacks took place. But now, a few months later, we were joined by two New Yorkers. We were joined by Masuda Sultan, who just returned from Afghanistan, investigating the deaths of her extended family. 19 members of her family died in a U.S. bomb attack of a farmhouse where her family was taking refuge. She was meeting Rita Lasar for the first time. Rita Lasar, at the time 70 years old, lost her brother Abe Zelmanowitz on the 27th floor of the World Trade Center. They sat and listened to Masuda's report. She had just returned from Afghanistan when we had talked to her there. Then I asked Rita Lasar to talk about what happened that morning of September 11, 2001, to her brother.
I was listening to the radio, and the newscaster broke in to say that a plane had hit one of the World Trade Center buildings, and I thought, gee, what an accident. And I live on the 15th floor and ran to my neighbor's house, and she has a clear view of downtown Manhattan. And I looked out her window and saw the second plane hit the second building. And it dawned on me, my brother works there. My brother's in that building. And I sort of went crazy. And then I went about the day doing what all those other people did, calling every hospital, trying to find out if he had been brought to a hospital. I went down to the hospitals to see if his name was on a list. And then I realized he had died. And because he had stayed behind to stay with his quadriplegic friend, who couldn't get out, although he was on the 27th floor and he could have saved himself, he died.
How do you know that? How do you know that
He
story?
was on the phone with my other brother and my sister-in-law, and he said, don't worry, we're waiting for the firemen to come, and as soon as they come, they're going to help Ed and me get out of here. Ed was in a wheelchair and could not move. But by the time the firemen came, the building collapsed, and it was too late. And then President Bush mentioned him in the National Cathedral speech and cited him as being a hero. And I realized that my government was going to use my brother as justification for killing other people. And that had a tremendous impact on me. I didn't want that to happen, not in my brother's name. And so I wrote a letter to the Times, which they printed, asking our government to please be cautious and not do something they couldn't take back. And then I was asked to speak at a peace rally, and I did it. And just before I went on, I was told they had started bombing Afghanistan. And I realized something I had never realized before. I'd heard the term collateral damage all my life. It was always used about people far away from us. And I realized now what it meant, because my brother was collateral damage in a war that he didn't want and Masuda's people didn't want. And I knew I had to do something, but I didn't know what. And then I got a call from this wonderful woman from this marvelous organization called Global Exchange, And she said, would you like to go to Afghanistan and meet people like you who have lost their families? And I thought, that's perfect, because Masuda and I are the same. There's no difference between us. My family member died. I'm grieving. And her family, God, I don't know how you survive just hearing about yours. But we're the same people. And so I'm going to Afghanistan. I'm going to see the people who have been left behind while their families died, with 3 other people who have lost family members, either in the plane that went down in Pennsylvania, or the Pentagon, or the World Trade Center. And we're going to come back here, and we're going to try to get the American public to open its heart and its wallet for your people the way they have done for us. And try to get our government to understand that bombing is not the solution.